afternoon, everyone, and happy Wednesday. Guess what? We are back. And I have someone very special to you. I know that life can get kind of crazy, kind of hectic. And we're going to talk about finding my favorite topic and what I talk about all the time, your peaceful pace of purpose. So stay tuned and we will be right back. And welcome, Jenna. Good afternoon.
Yeah, not good morning. Good afternoon. I'm so excited to be here, Patricia.
I am so honored to have you here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And let me tell everyone before you get started why I'm really excited is Jenna is a RN, a registered nurse. For those of you who don't know what an RN is, it's a registered nurse. And she is very passionate about health and life. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that affects all of us and the rhythms. I'm not going to get into it because I don't know all about it, but I know this is her jam and I'm excited for her to just spread the love. And so Jenna, without further, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. And I'm obsessed that we're actually talking about this topic because, you know, Patricia just said this is my jam, but we're not going to get it twisted here starting out right away. It is truly her jam. And as I was preparing this message for you guys today, I had an aha moment because we're going to talk about time. We're going to talk about debunking time. We're going to talk about how to prevent overwhelm or stress or how to prevent overpacking our calendars and what that's going to do for our physical, emotional, spiritual well-being, all of it. But as I was preparing, I was thinking about you, Patricia, because have any of y'all ever heard her say, my peaceful pace of purpose? Like she's helping people find their peaceful pace for purpose and of purpose. And I think before we get into this message, so many of us, let us know in the comments, raise your hand in the comments if you agree. So many of us get caught up in a passion or a purpose that we have, and then we get burned out because we let what our purpose is on this earth to do in that season or in that time period, we let it crush us because we're not listening to our inner or biological rhythm that is 100% natural that we're going to talk about today. So I got chills when I had that moment. I was like, this is Patricia's thing. And it's actually a new topic for me. And my favorite thing to do whenever I learn something new is to teach it and get it out for other people to hear and see, because it's the best way that I myself personally, so this is a little selfish, can remember it the best and implement it the best once I get it in me and then get it out of me to you guys. So yes, I am a registered nurse. I love the holistic side of things a little bit more. And I know my purpose currently. And I also know that my purpose is a little bit larger and a little bit heavier and causes me to breathe a little bit heavy sometimes when I think about it, right? I'm sure some of you guys can relate. And please let us know if you can in the comments. We're here to chat with you, not just to talk to ourselves. But I'm a homeschool mother as well. I went to a homeschool conference and there was a lady named Kelly. She was a homeschool mom and she designed this 90-minute homeschool day. And I was all about listening to her 90-minute homeschool message. But it was delivered. The delivery of it, or the message, actually was something that I was not thinking I was going to hear. And it's the message that I'm borrowing from her with her permission to bring to you today. So we're going to talk about debunking time. I was going to share my screen with you, but I think, are you okay, Patricia, with us just?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I did make a PowerPoint to go along with it, but if you are a note taker, I'm sorry if you're a visual person, it's not going to have it right now, but maybe I can put some of the visuals that will help people in the comments under these videos after we're done. I can commit to that.
Great.
You want to make me a mental note.
I
So
will.
we'll do that. But for anybody who needs to write to remember things, go ahead and get out your handy dandy pen and your pencil. Because whatever it is that you're feeling, I want you to think for a moment how you feel about what it is that you're doing in your life. How are you helping people? That's typically where our purpose comes into play, is how we're helping others, like from a servant's heart. What are we putting our energy and our effort toward? And it doesn't have to be something like through a huge business venture. It could be in your home, right? And have you ever thought, I don't have enough time, not enough minutes in the day? Oh my gosh, I'm crushed with overwhelm. Oh, look, I have a free day on my calendar. Well, let me fill it, right? If any of those things like made you lean in a little bit closer, get out a pen. So we are humans, right? I believe if you're watching this message, you are a human. And if you are a human, we have done very well in society, and this is unfortunate. We've done very well in society departing from nature. It's almost like we are putting up boundaries and trying to pull away from what's natural and what's native. And those of us who have found that the answer lies within the natural and the native and the way things used to be for a lot of different topics, we're thriving. Those who continue on the path of just, I don't want to say technology. There's a place for technology. We're using technology right now.
Right.
But if we get too far away from what is natural and native to us, we will self-destruct. It is what it is, right? So I want to talk about our natural rhythms of life, our natural cycles of life, our biological rhythms. There's 3 of them that we're going to cover. So if you want to number 1, 2, 3, and one of them you might be super familiar with. And so what they are called is our circadian rhythm, right? That's probably the one that you're familiar with. And then we have our infradian rhythm, which is spelled, if you're taking notes, infradian. And then we have our ultradian rhythm. So it's like ultra before dian. So we have circadian, infradian, ultradian. And truly, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with teaching you these words or these rhythms, because all we have to do, like if that just overwhelmed you, all we have to do is listen to our body and respond. If there is a day that you wake up and you're feeling heavy, listen to your body and rest. If there is a week that you're tracking, for example, for women in our cycle, and we'll get into this, that you know you're not going to feel like going to the river with your friends. Don't. No is a complete sentence, and it's okay. And so as we get into these 3 biological rhythms and how we can apply them in our lives to be the best versions of ourselves, for ourselves, to ourselves, and those around us, I really hope that the take-home message is for you, I'm just going to listen to my body and respond, and I'm not going to get tied up in these big words or this, all the trillion different ways I can apply this to my life. I want you to commit to picking one thing, maybe 2 things to focus on, and then just implementing them. Right? Okay. Sound good?
Yes.
As we get into this. Okay. So first I want to identify for you guys what the difference is between circadian, infradian, and ultradian. So a circadian cycle is a 24-hour period, right? It's our wake sleep cycle. On a little more scientific level, it is the cycle at which our body releases cortisol, right? That's the stress hormone that causes us to accumulate belly fat, abdominal
Now,
fat.
Jenna, I want to interrupt you for just a second. Is that with that first cycle, does it go in order, or is this just a component of it? And that's, we just have to determine what are we feeling right now and which cycle and category does that fall into?
So actually, that is a great question. Our circadian, infradian, and ultradian cycles are all happening simultaneously.
Okay.
Right? So breaking this down in these little, sections, and this, for example, this one's the 24-hour period, is just going to help us understand how we can best serve our rhythms. And then in turn, they're going to serve us, right? How we listen, not just to our bodies and respond, but listen to, the energies around us, listen to nature, right? It's my favorite thing. So, okay, great question. And I'm glad we clarified that. So the circadian rhythm, just the definition of it is our 24-hour cycle, our sleep-wake cycle. If your circadian cycle is healthy, right? And we're going to talk about healing it. But if your circadian cycle is healthy, you will wake up typically with the sunrise, right? Because it is the red light from the sun that wakes you up. Anyway, we're going to get into that in a moment. I'm getting ahead of myself, but you're going to typically rise with the sunlight. Cortisol is going to be released in healthy levels to keep you going throughout your your 12-hour cycle for the day. And then melatonin, so circadian rhythm is cortisol release, melatonin release. If it is healthy, your melatonin will be released toward the end of the day. It's telling your body, hey, time to go to sleep. Okay. So a lot of us supplement with melatonin because our circadian cycle is jacked, right? A lot of us are having trouble with sleep, insomnia, jacked. I mean, we have messed this up so well. And so that I just want you to, for right now, remember that your circadian rhythm is in a 24-hour cycle. Awake for 12 hours-ish, asleep for 12 hours-ish, right? Just to make that easy. So let's move on to the definition of infradian cycle. In anything that, or the things that fit into this category are anything that are larger than a 24-hour period, larger than a day. Mm-hmm. So we have, for women, our menstrual cycles. That cycles over a month's period of time, right? Or 28 days-ish, whatever. You have the lunar calendar, the cycles of the moon, right? This can be an example of an infradian cycle. And just for transparency, we are going to get deep into the cycle of a woman, but men can also identify here. We're just going to use the menstrual cycle as an example to really hone in on how can I listen to this rhythm of my body, right? And then lastly, the ultradian rhythm is less than a day. So cycles of ultradian rhythm could be have you heard of REM cycles?
Yeah.
Right. So while we're sleeping, for example, you're going to have 90 minutes of rest, 20 minutes of REM sleep, right? And that just cycles back and forth, 90 minute, 20 minute, 90 minute, 20 minute. Those are less than a 24-hour period. Another example of ultradian cycles could be the cycles of the tides, like the ocean tides, going in and out, doing their thing each day, 100 times a day. I don't know how many times a day, maybe like 5 or 6. I'm definitely not an expert on the ocean. But so just kind of sit here for a minute, take that in. We have 3 biological cycles, some that operate on a 24-hour cycle, some that are longer than that, and some that are shorter. That's what I want your takeaway message to be so far. Good?
Good.
Awesome. So my outcome coming on here today for you guys is, okay, Jenna, thanks. That's great that you're teaching us about these cycles, but what does it mean for me? How can if my circadian rhythm is off, how can I fix it, right? If my infradian rhythm is off, or if I'm finding that I'm super drained, maybe I'm not making the right decisions in a certain period of my cycle, how do I fix it, right? So I'm going to tell you, so now we're going to go into application. We're going to focus for the next minute or two on the circadian rhythm and how we can, I would say, I don't want to say fix it because I don't like to say that people are broken, but how we can support our circadian rhythm the best. Because it's on a 24-hour cycle, it is related to the sun and the moon. It just is what it is, right? And so people who are able to heal their bodies of many ailments, by the way, can use the rising of the sun and the setting of the sun to their advantage. I could talk about those advantages scientifically, medically, all of those things for hours. but we're only going to be on here for a couple of minutes. So all your take home message is, hey, if I can watch the sunset and the sunrise and the sunset, I'm going to do it. Plus it's beautiful and peaceful, right?
Yeah.
So the red light, if you're hearing of red light therapy, people will get red light lamps and put them in their house. That's great, but I prefer to get it from the real sun. There are lots of benefits to that. So if that is a piece of information that was really exciting to you, like it spurred something up in you, just write down, look into the benefits of red light therapy, and your mind will be blown. So try to catch the sunrise and the sunset. It helps set your circadian rhythm. I do recommend blue light blocking glasses. We have probably 2 pair in every single room of our house while you're on electronics for a long time, or after sunset, because I'm telling you, the sunset triggers your body to release the melatonin that triggers your body to relax and try to go to sleep. And then if you're looking at a blue light screen until you go to bed, your cells inside your body are all kinds of confused, right? Which is why people have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, just to name one issue. So blue light blocking glasses immediately after the sun sets are great. All right. And then I just have a note here that says use sunlight to guide your internal clock. And we talked a little bit about that. If you can just try on most days to rise with the sun and then just start slowing down with the sunset. In this society, it's a little bit difficult, but if you can do that, I promise you, you won't even need to set an alarm clock anymore. Your internal clock, that circadian cycle, will literally wake you up with the sun every morning. It's the craziest thing. And with that message, I feel like I should deliver the word grace, because there's going to be so many times where you want to wake up with the sunrise, or you want to do anything really. And our humanness gets in the way, and you just don't. You cannot beat yourself up. This has to be a peaceful process. Extend yourself grace in every single area is my theory. And I know, Patricia, you talk about that a lot too. Like, who cares? Just, keep going. Right.
Right.
So I can't see the comments. I should probably click on them. But if anybody has any questions about circadian application or circadian rhythm, we will surely answer them. There was one other thing that I wanted to touch on that I forget what it was, and it was so good about the circadian cycle. Let me look here for a second. Lost it. It'll come back. It'll come back to me. Okay. So that is just some super basic things we can do to set the circadian cycle. Are we ready to move on to infradian?
We are.
Okay.
I feel like I'm in like a little bit of like the whole Doctor Strange kind of like, what are we doing here? We're in this universe of these beautiful codes of healing and health. So it's really nice.
Oh gosh, it is so serious. I mean, you kind of took my breath away, because it is. It kind of is. And listen, humans and society make this stuff weird, but it's natural and it's native and it's how we operate. Does that make sense? I mean, so we have to let go of any stigma that is attached to really understanding who we are.
Hi, Sandy. Welcome.
Hello, hello. Oh, I see comments now. Cool. So we are going to move on to the infradian cycle, and I'm going to bring up the menstrual cycle in this phase. It's what I'm going to use as an example of how we can honor our body and our time using a cycle greater than 24 hours, right? So these are cycles greater than 24 hours. And I feel like I should pause and say that historically, if you're thinking about time, if we're going to go back to the ancient times, ancient Egypt, ancient, over in the Middle East, if you think about the ancient civilizations there, their calendars were never linear.
Right.
The Western world here has turned everything into like a timeline. You start here, then you have to get to this point, and then this point, and here's the end. If you look at the ancient Mayans even, which I guess they're on the Western side of the world, but even the ancient Mayans, their calendars are circular and they're cycles, and they honor the cycles rather than boom, 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 boom. There's not an end. It's continuous. And so I say that because this next cycle with all the rest of the rhythms that we're going to talk about today are continuous. Okay? We can talk about infradian cycles too, of like the seasons. Spring, summer, fall, winter. After winter just doesn't stop. It's a cycle. It keeps going.
Right.
So I would encourage any of you guys to maybe let go of the linear thinking. I have to do this, and this today. Let's learn how to look inward and honor how we're feeling based on the cycle. For example, our infradian cycle. So our infradian cycle, if you are a woman, this does affect men, but not as big. There are 4 cycles. And you can look up your cycles of menstruation. Listen, if you've had a hysterectomy, it doesn't matter. You still cycle through all of this. You might not bleed, but you're still cycling, right? And I'm sorry if
that was a question that I had actually made a note when you were talking about that, is for women who have had either a partial or a full hysterectomy, do they still go through those cycles even though they're not actually hemorrhaging?
100%. Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And I've had a couple of friends, actually personal friends. You know, one of them I'm thinking of right now, she's like, I feel like I'm PMSing, but I don't even have a uterus. And I'm like, because you are. It's like super cool. Yeah. And if you haven't realized this or come to the realization yet, just start paying attention. And there is an app I'm going to have everyone download here at the end that will help you track your cycle and see if it lines up. I did the same thing and I was so surprised. So 4 cycles. You have your menstruation period, which could be 3 to 7 days. You have your follicular cycle of the month. We're talking about a month here. You have your ovulation cycle and your luteal cycle. And based on those menstrual phases, I'm actually going to pair them with seasons like spring, summer, winter, fall, to help even the men out there, right, understand this message and this concept. So just know we're going to be talking in a phase of 4 cycles in a month and how we can honor our bodies through that. So I'm going to talk about the first phase, which could be an example of, if you're taking notes, write these 3 words down: menstruation, winter, or night. Menstruation can be compared to winter, that can be compared to night. When you think of these, you're probably thinking slower life pace, right? Maybe, if you're a farmer, your slate is pretty much wiped. Well, it's wiped a lot cleaner than in the summer or harvest season, right? Yes, menstruation, winter, night. So if you are in the season of menstruation, or if it is nighttime, or if it is winter, for example, to apply this to your life this is the time to cut back on your obligations. So that's a great note to take. Cut back on your obligations. Don't overbook yourself. Commit to, if there's something important that needs to be done, commit to delegating it to somebody else or ditching it completely. And if some of you got a pit in your stomach, I understand, because we are a yes man society. And we think that no is not a complete sentence. And it's very hard for people to be okay with saying, I need to honor myself. Some people might feel selfish in that manner. It's not at all. You have to honor and give yourself the best before you can give anybody else the best. And this is where we see burnout. This is why we see burnout. This is why we see people who are so powerful and passionate in their purpose just back out and quit because they didn't honor themselves. So during that period, it's really a great idea too to take like a personal retreat. It could be to the mountains. It could be a hike. It could be to the beach. It could be to your bedroom with the door shut if you're a busy parent, right? Like either AirPods in, silence, some type of music that calms your spirit, or like nothing at all, right? Just, hey, whoever you live with, keep the kids. I'm taking a personal retreat for like 4 hours. Don't interrupt me. Right. And then this is a time where, as you're sitting, I don't want to say in silence, but as you're slowing down, this is a great time to just think about things that you want to plan in the upcoming days or weeks. It's not a time to implement any of it. It's just to think about it. And so for me, this was huge because in that period, I feel it. Like, do y'all feel when you feel like doing nothing, or when you've told, I don't know, a coworker or a friend or a boss that, yes, I'll be there. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, this is huge. But you know that you're not going to feel like doing it, or you feel like canceling. This is why. And it's because we're not honoring our body. So I challenge you to start tracking and paying attention and focusing, and don't overbook yourself during this period. And then we'll move on to the follicular phase, which is for women who are menstruating. It's the time right afterwards before ovulation. So we're in the follicular stage. So 3 words to write down for this: follicular, FOLLICULAR, which can be compared to spring, which can be compared to morning. Follicular, spring, morning time, right? So this is when you feel fresh, when you feel new. Your estrogen, your testosterone, your energy levels, all of that is increasing naturally, natively. Fun fact, you have a higher pain threshold during this morning. So you're going to feel less pain in the morning than you do at night. Isn't that so weird? If you're healed in posture. That's a different story for a different day. So this is the time to sustain more higher impact activity, exercise. In that phase that we just talked about, either don't exercise at all, or do something that is go for a brisk walk, something that is very low impact. It's all a part of honoring the cycle of our body and the cycle of the system that we're in. This is the time to start new projects, definitely to implement them, to organize things, and to really get into the planning mode. And I'm going to pause here and say, if this is overwhelming you, this is where I'm going to bring up the app. You can download an app on your smartphone. It's called My Moon Time. And it will literally tell you what phase you're in. For women, this is for women in your cycle. I downloaded it last month, and I programmed in all of the information it was asking for, which you will do as well. And it told me when my cycle was going to start. And I laughed out loud because I was like, no, it never happens that day. It never happens that time. Right. And it did. And I'm like, crap. And it does help you go through. This is a time to honor your body. This is a time to be still, or this is a time to like go out and conquer the world. Right. So it's a very great.
Let me ask you a question. With this app, for people who have had the hysterectomy, will it work, or does it have a place in there where it can identify that you've had a hysterectomy or a partial hysterectomy with that cycle?
I don't know if there is a box. There's a lot of boxes. I don't know if there's a box that says if you have or not, but it's going to ask you, it asked me anyway, when your last menstrual cycle was. And for somebody who I actually told about this app as soon as I found out about it, she hadn't had a period she didn't even know when. But she guessed, she programmed it in, and it told her she was going to start her cycle the next day. Wow. And she did.
Oh, wow.
So it is crazy, and I love it. And we cycle, women cycle with the moon. And I will tell you, in this class, we had to raise our hand, and she said, who bleeds on the new moon? And I was like, what, huh? And she went into detail about, again, in ancient times, guys, remember, this is all about going back to who humans, like what humans natively are. We are part of this earth. We are part of nature. So she said there used to be, in some of the civilizations, a red tent. And there's books about this. If you love to read, there's a book called The Red Tent. I forget who the author is. We'll put it in the comments. And there's a book called In the Flow, FLO, In the Flow. And it takes us back to our ancestors' time. And they had these tents where the young women would bleed together on the new moon. The older generation of women would bleed in the opposite time. And the way that that cycles so that life can go on and the villages can still be run and societies can still happen blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
We have to listen to these, right? We have to recognize the importance of the cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, and today we have things like medication. Don't hate me when I say this, but birth controls, electricity messes with it, that mess with our cycles, and that have caused us again to get too far away from what our natural native being, our natural native state is. So, I encourage you to try to just get back to the basics if you can, if that is your desire.
Yeah. I think that people, Jenna, they don't even realize that they are disconnected.
Yes.
And then it's a fleeting thought of, I need to honor myself. I need to maybe even take a walk to implement self-care. And that's great. But when you think and you hear like how all of this is connected, and it goes back also to ancient times, if you really stop to reflect on that and realize how disconnected we are from not only life and the things external, but the things internal, and really take time to reflect on that. And it can be painful, not to the sense where you're depressed, but just like that grieving process of, I have been denying myself all of these things. Oh my gosh. And then you hear all of these Freudian, all of the things that you just talked about, which are amazing, and realize how it's all interconnected. And when you just go out and you feel the sun, like when I feel the sun, like obviously I don't need a tan because I'm all natural, right?
Lucky.
But all kidding aside, when I feel the sun, like I feel that healing.
Yep.
I am connected. When you go out and walk barefoot on that grass, there is a connection. When you look up and you see the stars and the moon and really tap into that and ask yourself, what am I really feeling here? And then you add the science to it behind it, and then realize how everything is just really interconnected and flowing.
Right.
I know my whole purpose in life is to help people understand that, not from a scientific standpoint, but everyone knows finding that peaceful pace of purpose.
100%. And to piggyback off of what you said, our bodies have the answer if we would just listen.
Yeah.
I challenge anyone listening and hearing this right now. If you walk out into the sun and you put your feet in the grass and you feel a certain type of way, it's not by chance. It is actual, I keep saying the word healing because that's what I love. As far as a nurse goes, I love for people to be able to tap into their native and natural ability to heal themselves.
Right.
Listen to it. Block out the noise from society. Block out the judgy neighbor, right? Whoever it is, whatever it is, just find your peace there.
Right.
One of my best friends would say, but I'm allergic to grass and I have really bad allergies. I don't like to be inside. Hey, Mark, there's an answer for you, which I'm not going to get into today, but there's an answer for you, but you just have to want it. So just 2 more examples I'll get through really quickly. If you're taking notes, just do it quickly. I want to get into the next phase, which represents ovulation, summer, and afternoon. Ovulation, summer, afternoon. This is your time where you feel alive. Right? This is the time where you are ripe, like you are at your peak. This is the time to socialize. Your estrogen, your testosterone are at their highest. And I'm like literally energy levels, everything is peaking. You feel alive. This is when those plans that you were thinking about and making are great to be implemented, right? So that is a phase that actually I'm getting ready to get into now, and I just feel it coming. I feel it coming, right? So just get in tune with feeling, like with your body, with your feelings. Listen to your body and respond. And then the last phase is called luteal, which is how, let me tell you how to spell it. Luteal. So Lu and then the color teal. Luteal that part of the month represents fall or evening. And ladies, you'll probably want to record this part for any gentleman in your life, if there is one. This is when you get a little bit sensitive, right? You're emotional. It's called PMS, right? Sensitive, emotional. Guys can cycle through this too, and they do. You get a little foggy, a little unfocused, a little fatigued. You know, when I hear that, I think of what society is demanding of us when we should be honoring this time. Society is demanding of us, like, I'm going to go with the commercials, like the Tampax commercials. They make like the sports Tampax tampons.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, girl, you don't have to worry about anything. You can just use this and you don't even know that it's there, and just go, 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 go. No, we are not designed to go, 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 go. This is a time to honor your inward. Just go inward with yourself and feel things. This is also the time where we are the most intuitive. So listen to whatever your intuition is telling you. You don't have to make decisions based upon it. Just stay there and listen for as long as you need. Nothing needs to be rushed. This is when self-care, again, is going to come into play. You're going to feel your body. You're going to feel nature say, you need to slow down. You need to go get a massage. You need to go lay down. You need to take a bath. You need to do something. You need to go sit out in the grass. Something. Just listen. This is, again, when you are going to start delegating things, canceling things. Once you start tracking this, especially if you use that My Moon Time app, once you start tracking this and identifying when this luteal or fall or evening stage happens, keep the calendar clear. And that's going to be the hardest thing for people who love to go and work, and have found their identity in doing, right? You got to undo that and look at that calendar and leave it open and be okay with it staying open. This is also when you're the most creative in this luteal or fall or evening phase. So if you are feeling like there is something you need to create, I don't know if you need to brain dump on a piece of paper or if you need to shout it out to the world or what you need to do, but just listen and create. And so as we honor these cycles, right? Sleep-wake cycle, the infradian cycles, we learned how to honor ourselves then. My outcome for you, my goal for you that I hope is the message is coming across clear is I'm going to feel less stress because I'm listening. I'm going to find my peaceful pace because I'm listening. Now I have a little understanding behind what I'm doing because I'm listening. And then let's see. The last cycle I'm just going to flip through really fast is the ultradian cycle. This is the 90 minutes of rest when we're sleeping or 20 minutes of REM when we're sleeping. But let's talk about what does the ultradian cycle look like when we're awake. If you work from home, especially if you own your own business, this is going to work very well for you. But even if you're working for someone else, I want you to try to schedule in this into your day. So we're going to flip the 90-minute rest, 20-minute REM sleep. So REM is when your brain is like really active during sleep and you get real deep and who knows what happens there, right? So during the day, try to schedule your day as giving your brain 90 minutes of activity and work and then 20 minutes of rest. And when I say 20 minutes of rest, I don't mean go like take a nap. You can, but that's not what I mean. For me, what that looks like is 90 minutes of work, emails, administrative issues, whatever, teaching, training, and then the 20-minute break, I could be homeschooling my kids. It's not taking a lot of my brain power. So that's what that looks like. Go wash the dishes, do light housework, walk around the office, whatever it is you have to do for about 20 minutes. And that is going to serve you super well in your days and weeks and years to come. And that is truly all that I have. I have great visuals that we can leave in the comments under this live that was supposed to be 15 minutes. But it's just such great information.
Yeah.
So I hope that you have found it valuable.
That is incredible. I'm really happy because it's just this information is so critical and important because it takes it to another level of bringing you to an understanding of the why behind it, to know that there are phases of things. So I'm very, very, very happy that you took the time to share that information. And I'm going to extend the invitation and always leave it open for you to come back with more information. And I'm very, very grateful. So don't leave. I'll be right back. I want to close this out for everyone. And thanks again, Jenna. You're amazing.
Thank you.
So there you have it. So I encourage everyone to, especially women, well, I encourage everyone, men included, to, because if you need understanding of why things are happening, you have some really great information here to help clarify that. And I'm really grateful for Jenna and her passion for health and passion for helping people to become better. And I'm very grateful. So I hope that you guys have a super duper day. Happy Wednesday. I hope the sun is shining where you're at. But remember, you are the sunshine. You are the light. So even if it isn't, guess what? Be the light, share, and we will talk to you soon. Have a good day, everyone. Love you guys.